As of today, the Colts have signed Adam Gostis and Gregory Junio and placed Titus Leo on the practice squad. But what is going on, you guys? It's your boy, Culture Shock. We are finally back with content. I've been out the last 2 weeks due to sickness, so I couldn't keep you guys posted on game reactions, live streams, maybe, or even just talking about the game in general, or a preview at that, just due to my sickness. I've been out, so I haven't watched any Colts football while I was gone. That's how bad the sickness was. I wasn't able to walk. I couldn't move. I was just bed sick the whole time for 2 weeks straight. I didn't go to work or anything. Like, that's how bad the sickness was. But I am back in full effect. So this week will be my official first week of watching Colts football all season. And it's against the Chicago Bears. But the Colts are not fully staffed on the roster wise. They have a few players on the injury list. They did wind up releasing Amir Speed due to this date as well. That is a corner. But the Colts are already short at corner due to Juju Brents being out for the season with season-ending surgery. But that is not the end of it. Another starter on the defensive line, uh, Pro Bowler, one of the go-to guys in the trenches on the defensive side, DeForest Buckner, is now added to the injury report list. He is being placed on IR for about 4 weeks. It's going to be a huge loss for the Colts. Um, this is another injury that just adds to the list of concerns for the Indianapolis Colts moving forward. Because as you guys may know, and what I've seen, the Colts are 0-2. The first two losses. The first game was pretty close against the Houston Texans. The second game was, subway close towards the Green Bay Packers. They could have won that game as well. So, on the bright side, you can say the Colts, they have chances to win these games. On the downside, both losses happen to be in the same effect due to the poor production from the defense. So if the defense was happening to figure it out at any moment, this Colts team can actually win some games. And a lot of Colts fans are on the brink of pretty much just ending it all with the season, the projections, and having high hopes and things of that nature. There's a few fans on the side of positivity. They understand the Colts of what they're going through right now, and understand, the expectations for the Colts this year, if anything, was to win the division and having at least a legit shot of making the playoffs. It's a little far fetched to have them try to, be one of the best teams in the AFC and potentially even making it to the Super Bowl at this point of their time, because they have a young, talented, developing quarterback in Anthony Richardson. And of course, you still have a few vets that's been there around, but they're still lacking depth on both sides of the field, in my opinion. Of course, the offense is, is talented and it has the potential to be really good. Another person I forgot to mention that's still not active yet is Josh Downs, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts on the offensive side. He might be making a potential comeback maybe this week or next week. I did predict him to miss maybe the first 2 weeks of the season due to the injury. So I was correct. Pat myself on the back about that. So hopefully he'll be back soon. But like I was saying, both sides of the field, they haven't met their potential yet. They both have a high upside on both sides of the ball. Of course, the biggest concern, like I said, is on the defensive side, and they lack depth on there. We pretty much knew that going into the season, and just due to the high volume free agents that was available in the offseason, that they didn't acquire any of them. So you can kind of see that being shown in the mirror right now during to the season, the first 2 weeks. Both sides, we really thought that the pass game was going to be the biggest issue for this team. But, surprisingly, the run defense, I think, in my opinion, is the biggest issue. And that's a pretty much a shocker. You know, Another injury that we need to be talking about is, Latu, our top first round pick. He got banged up going out of that game, and we don't know what his prediction might be going into this week, pretty much going into next week against the Bears this weekend. So, that's another injury question that we should be bringing up. But the concerns, like I said, for the defensive line is really concerning. We thought with Grover Stewart being out last year that the run defense was going to take a hit, but Grover Stewart's been playing the first two games and it's still really a poor production from that front, trying to stop the run. The Packers made a historic run record against the Colts in the first half. And that's something that you would not want to see from this defense. Of course, like I said, if it was the secondary being, thrashed in the air, we all kind of seen that coming. But with this team, moving forward and watching them, this run game is pretty embarrassing to watch. And honestly, they still have room to be fixed and they still have time to adjust. So all is not said and done at the moment. It is still week 2. I say around week 5, if we have this issue, you can pretty much nip it away, nip the season away. If this was going into week 5 and you still have the same issue with the run defense, but there is still hope. The season is still young. A lot of teams has not even hit their stride yet. There's, around this time you have teams like the Commanders and things of that nature, leading the division. So all of these things can be changed in a matter of seconds. So of course, a lot of teams are still on cruise control and still trying to find their identity. And it's going to take a little bit longer than normal for most teams, especially when it's the Colts. It's going to take a little bit longer. Like I said, you got a quarterback that's young and talented that's still trying to find his stride in the league because, he hasn't really played a lot of football. So his experience still needs to get up there with the offense moving forward. But, it's an unacceptable production from the defensive side, if anything. So you can kind of cut some slack a little bit for Anthony Richardson, even still talking about Anthony Richardson and the offensive struggles, he's still shown promise in all of these games, and he still willed this offense to try to put them even in contention to winning the game, no matter how many balls that were sailed and things of that nature. And then you look at his wide receiver room. I mean, of course, we can all count out Alec Pierce as being the best receiver in that room, but everyone else between A.D. Mitchell, Michael Pittman Jr., even Jonathan Taylor in the receiving game. A lot of these, even the tight end room, a lot of these guys are dropping a lot of footballs and just look completely sluggish coming out of these last 2 games. So, of course, they got to figure it out. It's going to take time. The communication isn't all the way there. But I feel like, a lot of that is all on the coaching staff getting these guys prepared week in and week out and they're locking these guys in to go out there and play some good football. So, I think it's a lot of it's a communication thing from both sides. Of course, the coaching staff has to will these guys and lock them in and get them ready, better prepared for week every week. So hopefully they can figure that out moving forward. But like I said, the defense, losing Buckner is going to be a huge issue moving forward. We did sign Jannard Avery, so that could be a huge boost because he had a pretty good offseason. But other than that, this is going to be a Taven Bryan scenario where he probably get more reps than normal, and a lot of fans are not fans of Taven Bryan. But to each his own, that's an opportunity for that guy. So hopefully he can go out there and step up. Uh, the potential is there. Maybe they might see something. A lot of fans don't, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Hopefully the Colts can figure it out. Like I said, but the season's still early, so you can't fully lose hope and the potential of what they got going forward. So, there's still a chance that the Colts can still turn this around. After week 5, we can change the discussion and go back to, the Colts got to figure it out. But again, when you have a lackluster offseason of going out there and acquiring talent, and it goes out there and hits you right in the face and shows you, you got to be pretty deep on depth on all sides of the field, and it's pretty much showing you right now. Even with Matt Gay having an injury, he's not 100%. The secondary is not loaded like it's supposed to be. The cornerback room is lackluster. The defensive line is just underperforming. The linebacker room is underperforming. These guys got to figure it out. But again, it is still early, so you cannot count this team out. It's only been 2 weeks. They played a formidable opponent in the Packers. Even though they didn't have Jordan Love, they still have an all-pro running back in Josh Jacobs that pretty much knows. We know how good Josh Jacobs is. We've seen this guy, Josh Jacobs, maybe 3 times out of the last 4 seasons. We know how good he can be. Even before that, the Houston Texans, a formidable opponent. We know how good this team is. We know how good the Packers defense is. So these are 2 teams that we, probably didn't even have a shot at competing in, if you wanted to be honest, but still put up a decent fight to try to go out there and win, even with the defense playing bad. So, like I said, it's 2 teams that we lost to that, are going to be pretty solid moving forward in the season with or without their starters. I think they still can put up a good fight regardless of the situation. So not all is lost. Next week, we go up against the Chicago Bears. If it's the same outing, maybe you can raise your concerns and I will understand it. But again, we play 2 teams that's going to be pretty much in the playoff contention moving forward. So not all is lost. The next week is the Bears, who's pretty much had a pretty, roller coaster season so far as well. So it should be a pretty decent matchup between them. We'll talk more about it moving forward. But you guys let me know your thoughts about the injury list for the Colts, the replacements, and your thoughts about the Colts moving forward as well. All being said, this is Culture Shock, and I will see you guys next time.